Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging past the polished image of 19th century science. We're looking at the real grit, the chaos underneath. We're diving into the Bone War, sometimes called the Great Dinosaur Rush. It's this amazing story of two giants in paleontology whose search for ancient monsters turned into like a really brutal personal fight. It mirrors the Gilded Age perfectly, doesn't it? Huge discoveries, but also ruthless competition.
It really does. We're focusing on that intense period, roughly 1877 to 1892. And the main players, Othniel Charles Marsh, backed by Yale's Peabody Museum, and Edward Drinker Cope from the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia. And, the scale of their work is immense. Together, they found and named 142 new dinosaur species. I mean, they practically defined the field. But the way they did it, well, that's the story. Bribery, theft, even destroying bones, and constant public attacks to ruin each other.
That's the part I just can't get over. These were highly educated men, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly dedicated to science, to truth. How does it descend into that?
Yeah.
Just pure ruthless rivalry.
Yeah, it's quite a fall. Because they actually started out quite friendly. They met in Berlin back in 1864, wrote letters. They even named newly discovered species after each other as a sign of respect.
Wow. So what happened? Was it just personalities clashing?
Well, that was definitely part of it. Their backgrounds were really different. Cope, he came from a wealthy, established Quaker family in Philly, known for being brilliant but also having a quick temper, very pugnacious, and scientifically, he backed neo-Lamarckism.
Neo-Lamarckism. Remind us what that is again.
Sure, it's the idea that traits an organism acquires during its life can be passed down to its offspring. Think a giraffe stretching its neck and passing that slightly longer neck on. It was a competing theory to Darwin's natural selection.
Okay, got it. So Cope believed in that. And Marsh?
Marsh was different. He grew up fairly poor, actually. His big break came from his uncle, the philanthropist George Peabody, who funded the Peabody Museum at Yale. So Marsh had institutional power. He was seen as more methodical, maybe slower than Cope, but very strategic. And he was a firm believer in Darwin's natural selection.
So you've got old money versus new institutional power, different personalities, different scientific beliefs. Mm-hmm. Sounds like a recipe for friction.
Exactly. And you can kind of picture Cope maybe looking down on Marsh a bit, the beneficiary versus the inherited wealth. The first real dirty trick, though, happened back east in New Jersey.
Ah, yes, the Marl Pits incident.
That's the one. Marsh secretly paid off the workers at Cope's main fossil site, where the famous Hadrosaurus was found, to send any future discoveries straight to him, to Yale.
Wow. Just straight up bribery and theft of resources.
Pretty much. A clear signal, I have the money and I'll use it against you. And then came the public humiliation part.
The Elasmosaurus.
The Elasmosaurus. Cope reconstructed this long-necked marine reptile, but, he put the skull on the end of the tail.
Oh, wow. That's a big mistake.
A huge one. And while technically their mentor, Joseph Leidy, pointed out the error first in a publication, Marsh absolutely seized on it. He made sure everyone knew. He ridiculed Cope relentlessly about putting the head on the wrong end. It stuck to Cope's reputation.
Okay, so the personal animosity is boiling over. But then the action shifts west, right?
Well,
to Colorado, Wyoming.
Yeah, the 1870s. Word gets out about massive fossil discoveries out west. Suddenly, it's not just personal insults, it's a race for national prestige, for funding, for the biggest finds. The stakes get way higher.
And Cope, being the quicker one, jumped on that.
He did. He used his connections to get himself attached to the U.S. Geological Survey expeditions under Ferdinand Hayden. Didn't get paid a salary, interestingly, but it gave him official access to the West.
And a platform, I guess.
Yeah.
For publishing quickly.
Exactly. Hayden needed popular reports to justify funding, and Cope could write quite dramatically. So Cope got his finds out there fast. But this move caused immediate problems. First, it pushed Joseph Leidy aside, who usually got Hayden's fossils. Leidy was not happy.
Understandable.
Second, Cope started, kind of poaching Marsh's workers out west. Marsh wasn't always prompt with payments, apparently, so some of his crew started taking money from Cope, too, working both sides.
Oh, they couldn't have helped relations.
Not at all. When Marsh found out his own men were double-dipping, whatever trust was left between him and Cope just evaporated. It was irreparable. And this is where the science itself gets messy, especially around 1872-73. They were finding all these new Eocene mammals, things like Uintatherium.
Right.
But instead of careful papers, they were firing off descriptions via telegram, just rushing to claim the name first.
Telegrams.
Yeah.
To describe a new species, that sounds frantic.
It was totally frantic. And the result? Predictable chaos. Lots of descriptions were for the same animal, just different names. The classification became a nightmare almost overnight.
So accuracy took a backseat to speed.
Completely. Marsh, being a bit more systematic, his names tended to hold up better in the long run. Almost none of Koch's initial names for one major group, the Dinocerata, actually survived scrutiny.
Ouch, that must have stung Cope's pride.
Oh, immensely. He was so furious and, frankly, humiliated that he tried to publish this whole new classification system basically designed just to throw out Marsh's names and validate his own. Pure ego.
It seems like Marsh kind of learned from this, though. He changed his strategy.
He did, big time. Marsh basically decided fieldwork wasn't the best use of his time. After one last trip in 1873, and it's telling, it cost Yale less than $2,000, way less than the $15,000 he'd claimed before he shifted.
Shifted how?
He became a manager. He started relying entirely on hired collectors, local agents, foremen, sometimes even using hired muscle, essentially. He realized his strength was securing the funding, managing the operation from back east, not digging himself, and this let him play politics, too. Out in the Dakota Territory, he wasn't just looking for bones, he was dealing with Chief Red Cloud, promising payment for fossils found on Siouxland, even lobbying for the tribe in Washington.
So he's building political capital while Cope is still focused on the digging.
Pretty much. Marsh was building this power base, increasing his influence back east, which brings us to the main event. Como Bluff.
Right, 1877, Como Bluff, Wyoming. This is where the Bone Wars really ignite, isn't it?
This is the epicenter. It starts with a school teacher, Arthur Lakes, finding these incredible, huge bones near Morrison, Colorado. He writes to both Marsh and Cope.
Outlaw.
Yeah. Marsh acts fast, sends Lakes $100, tells him keep quiet. But then Marsh finds out Lakes also contacted Cope. So Marsh immediately offers Lakes a salary exclusive contract, locks him down.
Cutting Cope out completely using that Yale money.
Exactly. Leveraged his financial advantage. Cope was furious, naturally. So when Cope found his own sites nearby, near Canyon City, what does Marsh do?
Sends his own team right next door.
Immediately. Sent his best guys, Mudge and Williston, to set up shop right beside Cope's quarries. Then, at Como Bluff itself, Marsh hires these two Union Pacific Railroad workers, Reed and Carlin.
Okay.
Tells them explicitly, reserve the best spots for Yale and keep Cope's people OUT, actively obstruct them.
But word gets out anyway. Too many big bones.
It's impossible to keep secret. Reed and Carlin themselves leaked stuff to the papers, probably wanting fame or maybe more money. So Cope hears how rich Como Bluff is.
And his response.
He sends in his own agents, basically dinosaur rustlers. Their job was to sneak onto Marsh's sites and quietly steal fossils.
It's becoming like actual espionage now.
Totally. And then the cycle of betrayal continues. Carlin, one of the guys Marsh hired, he gets fed up with Marsh being slow to pay or not paying enough.
Switches sides.
Starts working for Cope. It just becomes this constant back and forth of bribery, poaching workers, trying to outmaneuver and undercut the other guy.
And it got physically nasty too, didn't it? Not just spying.
Oh, yeah. For 15 years, the crews faced terrible conditions, but also active sabotage from the rival team. You mentioned Carlin locking Reed out of the train station. That happened. Reed had to haul huge, heavy crates of bones in the freezing cold because Carlin, now working for Cope, blocked him.
That's incredibly petty.
It gets worse. The most shocking thing, Marsh ordered his men to destroy fossils they couldn't excavate immediately.
Destroy them? Why?
To prevent them from falling into Cope's hands. Reed himself reported that he smashed leftover bones in quarries on Marsh's orders, just destroyed them.
Smashing priceless scientific evidence, just out of spite.
Unbelievable, isn't it? And yeah, the crews themselves got into it. There are accounts of workers from the competing camps literally throwing rocks at each other across the digs.
Like kids in a playground, but with potentially world-altering fossils at stake.
It sounds absurd, but it was real. And all this haste, this drama, it led to big scientific mistakes on both sides. We remember Cope's Elasmosaurus head-on-the-tail blunder.
Right.
But Marsh wasn't perfect either. His most famous error, probably, was putting the skull of one dinosaur, a Brachiosaurus, onto the skeleton of a completely different one, the Brontosaurus.
Gah.
That mistake confused things for decades.
So the rivalry actually damaged the science itself through sloppiness.
Absolutely. And by the late 1880s, while scientists knew about the feud, it exploded into the public consciousness. The New York Herald ran this huge, sensational story, Scientists Wage Bitter Warfare.
And that was based on Cope's ammo.
Largely, yeah. Cope had kept detailed notes on Marsh's mistakes, accusations of plagiarism, and critically, Marsh's alleged financial mismanagement of government funds, because by then, Marsh was heading the U.S. Geological Survey.
Ah, so Cope used it as a political weapon too.
He did, and it worked. Marsh's reputation for, let's say, lavish spending with federal money caught up to him. Congress eventually cut his funding in 1892. John Wesley Powell, the head of the survey, basically forced Marsh to resign. The government money tap turned off.
And the financial consequences for both of them were severe, weren't they? Even with Marsh's inheritance and Cope's family money.
Devastating. Running these massive competing expeditions for 15 years in remote places cost a fortune. Once Marsh lost the federal funding, his main lifeline, the whole operation became unsustainable. He ended up having to mortgage his house, even ask Yale for a salary.
And Cope?
Cope was hit hard too. Battling illness, he had to sell off significant parts of his incredible fossil collection just to cover his debts. Both men, born into or acquiring significant wealth and power, basically ruined themselves financially fighting over bones.
It's just a staggering cost of pride.
It really is, and the rivalry literally went to the grave. Just before Cope died in 1897, he did something really bizarre.
The Skull Challenge.
The Skull Challenge. He donated his skull to science, requesting that his brain size be measured after his death. He hoped his brain would be bigger than Marsh's brain size was mistakenly seen as a measure of intelligence then.
A final attempt to prove superiority, even in death. Did Marsh accept?
No, Marsh never took the challenge, but Cope's skull is apparently still at the University of Pennsylvania.
So, looking back, who won the Bone Wars? If you can even say someone won.
Well, if you just count the numbers, Marsh described more new species, 80, compared to Cope's 56. He had better funding, especially later on, more institutional support. So maybe Marsh won on points, you could argue.
But the real legacy is massive, right? Despite everything.
Oh, absolutely massive. You can't overstate it. Their combined discoveries essentially created American paleontology as we know it. Before them, maybe 9 named dinosaur species in North America. They gave us Triceratops, Allosaurus, Diplodocus, Stegosaurus, the iconic giants that fired up the public imagination. That's undeniable.
But there was a cost beyond the financial ruin and the destroyed fossils. What was the broader impact?
Well, first, reputation. The sheer nastiness of the fight, the public accusations, it damaged the image of American science abroad, especially in Europe. For a long time, it looked unprofessional, frankly.
And it pushed other, maybe better scientists away.
Tragically, yes. Joseph Leidy, who we mentioned earlier, he was brilliant, careful, methodical, arguably a better scientist than either of them in terms of rigor. He basically gave up on digging out west because he was disgusted by the constant fighting and recklessness. The field lost his more careful approach in those crucial early years.
So the chaos might have actually slowed down careful progress in some ways.
You could definitely argue that. And finally, the sheer speed and sloppiness created decades of confusion. Mixed up skeletons, rushed descriptions that were often wrong or duplicated. Later, paleontologists spent years just cleaning up the taxonomic mess Cope and Marsh left behind.
So it's this incredible mix. Unparalleled discovery, fueled by genius, yes, but also by ego, by sabotage, by the rough-and-tumble spirit of the Gilded Age itself.
Exactly. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Both men died, leaving behind crates and crates of unopened fossils, material they discovered but never even got around to studying.
Wow.
So consider this. Given the decades of confusion their rushed work caused, and the fact they actively destroyed specimens, could paleontology actually have advanced more effectively, maybe even faster in the long run, if they had managed to stay civil, if they'd collaborated instead of competing so viciously? What discoveries did the world potentially lose forever because their personal pride got in the way? Something for you to think about.